And then let's see. It's chapter 11. And on the cover, there is this lion. And it's like just the front paws and this big head and this huge mane. And then there's this person who's caught in the jaws, and his hair is like, whoa. Or maybe, yeah, I don't know. So we'll find out who that is, I guess. Can I do what now?
Like, top my back.
I got you. When the whole party was finally awake, Lucy had to tell her story for the 4th time. The blank silence which followed it was as discouraging as anything could be. I can't see anything, said Peter after he had stared his eyes sore. Can you, Susan? No, of course I can't, snapped Susan, because there isn't anything to see. She's been dreaming. Do lie down and go to sleep, Lucy. I do hope, said Lucy in a tremulous voice. There's tremulous again. That you will all come with me. Because I'll have to go with him whether anyone else does or not. Don't talk nonsense, Lucy. Oh my god, it's one of my old dog ears from when I was a kid. Holy, this page is dog-eared, 156. Crazy. Is there any more in here I've missed? Not really. I must have mostly been using bookmarks, and then occasionally, because I've only ever seen a couple. Oh, there's another one right there. Hold on. Yeah, that's an old one. There's a couple in here. That's fun. I'll go with her if she must go, said Edmund. She's been right before. I know she has, said Peter, and she may have been right this morning. We certainly had no luck going down the gorge. Still, at this hour of the night, and why would Aslan be invisible to us? He never used to be. It's not like him. What does the DLF say? Oh, I say nothing at all, answered the dwarf. If you all go, of course, I'll go with you. And if your party splits up, I'll go with the High King. That's my duty to him and King Caspian. But if you ask my private opinion, I'm a plain dwarf who doesn't think there's much chance of finding a road that by night where you couldn't find one by day. And I have no use for magic lions, which are talking lions and don't talk, and friendly lions, though they don't do us any good, and whooping big lions, though nobody can see them. It's all bilge and beanstalks as far as I can see. He's beating his paw on the ground for us to hurry, said Lucy. We must go now. At least I must. You've no right to try and force the rest of us like that. It's 4-1, and you're the youngest, said Susan. Oh, come on, growled Edmund. We've got to go. There'll be no peace till we do. He fully intended to back Lucy up, but he was annoyed at losing his night's sleep and was making up for it by doing everything as sulkily as possible. On the march, then, said Peter, warily fighting his arm into the shield strap and putting his helmet on. At any other time, he would have said something nice to Lucy, who was his favorite sister, for he knew how wretched she must be feeling, and he knew that, whatever had happened, this was not her fault. But he couldn't help being a little annoyed with her all the same. Susan was the worst. Supposing I started behaving like Lucy, she said, I might threaten to stay here, whether the rest of you went on or not. I jolly well think I shall. Obey the High King, your majesty, said Trumpkin, and let's be off. If I'm not to be allowed to sleep, I'd soon march as stand here talking. And so at last they got on the move. Lucy went first, biting her lip and trying not to say all the things that she thought of saying to Susan. But she forgot them when she fixed her eyes on Aslan. He turned and walked at a slow pace, about 30 yards ahead of them. The others had only Lucy's directions to guide them, for Aslan was not only invisible to them, but silent as well. His big cat-like paws made no noise on the grass. He led them to the right of the dancing trees. Whether they were still dancing, nobody knew, for Lucy had her eyes on the lion, and the rest had their eyes on Lucy. And near the edge of the gorge, cobbles and kettle drums, thought Trumpkin. I hope this madness isn't going to end in a moonlight climb and broken necks." For a long way Aslan went through the top of the precipices. Then, when they came to a place where some little trees grew right on the edge, he turned and disappeared among them. Lucy held her breath, for it looked like if he had plunged over the cliff, but she was too busy keeping him in sight to stop to think about this. She quickened her pace and was soon among the trees herself. Looking down, she could see a steep and narrow path going slantwise down into the gorge between rocks, and Aslan descending it. He turned and looked at her with his happy eyes. Lucy clapped her hands and began to scramble down after him, for behind her she heard the voices of others shouting, "Hey, Lucy, look out! For goodness sake, you're right on the edge of the gorge. Come back!" And not a moment later, Edmund's voice sang, "No, she's right. There is a way down." Halfway down the path, Edmund caught up to her. "Look," he said with great excitement. "Look! What's that shadow crawling down in front of us?" "It's his shadow," said Lucy. "I do believe you're right," Lucy said Edmund. "I can't think how I didn't see it before. But where is he?" "With his shadow, of course. Can't you see him?" "Well, I almost thought I did, for a moment. It's such a rum light." "Get on, King Edmund, get on," came Trumpkin's voice from behind and above, and then, further behind and still nearly at the top, Peter's voice saying, "Oh, buck up, Susan. Give me your hand. Why, a baby could get down here, and do stop grousing." In a few minutes they were at the bottom, and the roaring of water filled their ears, treading delicately like a cat. Aslan stepped from stone to stone across the stream. In the middle he stopped, bent down to drink, and as he raised his shaggy head, dripping from the water, he turned to face them again. This time Edmund saw him. "Oh, Aslan," he cried, darting forward, but the lion whisked around and began padding up the slope on the far side of the rush. "Peter, Peter," cried Edmund. "Did you see?" "I saw something," said Peter, "but it's so tricky in the moonlight. On we go, though, and 3 cheers for Lucy. I don't feel half so tired now, either." Aslan, without hesitation, led them to their left, further up the gorge. The whole journey was odd and dreamlike. And the roaring stream, the wet gray grass, the glimmering cliffs which they were approaching, and always the glorious, silently pacing beast ahead. Everyone except Susan the dwarf could see him now. Presently they came up to another step path, up the face of the fearless precipices. These were far higher than the ones they had just descended, and the journey up them was a long and tedious zigzag. Fortunately, the moon shone right above the gorge so that neither side was in shadow. Lucy had nearly blown when the tail and hind legs of Aslan disappeared over the top, but with one last effort she scrambled after him and came out, rather shaky-legged and breathless, on the hill they had been trying to reach ever since they left Glasswater. The long, gentle slope, heather, the grass, and a few very big rocks that shone white in the moonlight stretched up to where it vanished in a glimmer of trees about half a mile away. She knew it. It was the hill of the stone table. With a jingling of mail, the others climbed up behind her. Aslan glided on before them, and she walked after him. "Lucy," said Susan with a very small voice. "Yes," said Lucy. "I see him now. Right, I'm sorry. That's all right. But I've been far worse than you know. I really believed it was him. Yesterday, when he warned us not to go down to the fir wood, and I really believed it was him. Tonight, when you woke us up, deep down inside, or I could have if I let myself. But I just wanted to get out of the woods and, I don't know. Whatever am I to say to him?" "Perhaps you won't need to say much," suggested Lucy. Soon they reached the trees, and through them the children could see the great mound, Aslan's house, which had been raised over the table since their days. "Our side don't keep very good watch," murmured Trumpkin. "We ought to have been challenged before now." "Hush," said the other four, for now Aslan had stopped and turned and stood facing them, looking so majestic that they felt as glad as anyone can feel who's afraid. Who feels afraid? Yeah. And as afraid as anyone can who feels glad. The boy strode forward. Lucy made way for them. Susan the dwarf shrank back. "Oh, Aslan," said King Peter, dropping on one knee and raising the lion's heavy paw to his face. "I'm so glad, and I'm so sorry. I've been leading them wrong ever since we started, and especially yesterday morning." "My dear son," said Aslan. Then he turned and welcomed Edmund. "Well done," were his words. Then, after an awful pause and a deep voice, said, "Susan." Susan made no answer, but the others thought she was crying. "You have listened to fears, child," said Aslan. "Come, let me breathe on you. Forget them. Are you brave again?" "A little, Aslan," said Susan. "And now," said Aslan in a much louder voice, with just a hint of a roar in it, while his tail lashed his flanks. "And now, here is the little dwarf, this famous swordsman and archer, who doesn't believe in lions. Come here, son of earth, come here." And the last word was no longer a hint of a roar, but almost the real thing. "Wraiths and wreckage," grasped Trumpkin, in a ghost of a voice. The children, who knew Aslan well enough to see that he liked the dwarf very much, were not disturbed. But it was quite another thing for Trumpkin, who had never seen a lion before, let alone this lion. He did the only sensible thing he could have done. That is, instead of bolting, he tottered towards Aslan. Aslan pounced. Have you ever seen a very young kitten being carried by the mother's cat mouth? It was like that. The dwarf, hunched up in a little miserable ball, hung from Aslan's mouth. The lion gave him one shake, and all his armor rattled like Tinker's pack. And then, hey presto, the dwarf flew up into the air. I think you're asleep. I also think I've lost oh, never mind, I found it. It's right here, see? Look at that. Now I'm gonna take this little bookmark and put it right here where we were. Ooh, if I can get it in. There we go. And it's page 164 is where we stopped. So we'll pick up on that chapter tomorrow.